Okay, so I am going to try to make a soap here. I've tried to go live to make soaps, but guess what? It doesn't work because I have to get my signal boosted in here. So right now I'm in a temporary space for my small business, Wenchcraft. Hello, everybody. And what you're about to see me make is I'm going to try to replicate another soap that I just recently made called Soap Wench. Been making it for a while. I test the soap out in the fragrance for quite some time before I actually decide to bring it to market. This is what it looks like. That's the original bar. Just made it about a month ago now. Smells lovely, just lovely. And so I've also made a matching oil, and tonight I think we're going to be making the body butter to go with Soap Wench. And this soap has a lovely ultramarine in it, has some white titanium in there, a little bit of teal mica, and the bottom has some gold mica in there, and of course with our lovely stamp. So it's always a challenge to remake a design. That is somewhat difficult to do, but hey, I'm game for it because I've been doing this for quite some time. So let's get started. Right, so I've got my colorants here. Biff, bam, booyaka, booyaka. First things first, I need a couple of smaller cups to put those colorants in. I'm gonna got my lye water here, that's ready to go. My handy thermometer, let's check the temperature. Finally, I think I've got my oils and my temperatures close together in terms of their temperature. So lye water, if you're new to soap making, once you get your lye water made, I make cold processed soap, which means I allow the lye water to cool down. Some people make what they call hot processed soap. I'm not a big fan of hot processed soap. No dent. I don't, shout out to everybody that makes it. Lovely, but I don't like. It's just not as pretty to me. Now there are some girls out there that can really make some pretty hot processed soap. So, and yes, I am cold. That's why you see me with all the stuff on. But a second thing is you should always kind of have on long sleeves and have on things to protect you when you're making soap, because soap is hot. It's not hot in terms of, well, it is hot a little bit in terms of temperature. That lye water right now is 100 degrees. So is this oil is 100 degrees. And what that does is, when I say you should be protecting yourself, is this because soap is caustic. The soap can be caustic on your skin, and it'll burn your skin. So I'm going to start by making my colorants. The way you make colorants in soap is you take a little teaspoonful, depending on which color, the type of color it is. This is actually a pigment, an ultramarine pigment, so you don't need as much. Pigments are very, very dark. They don't harm you at all, but pigments are not like micas. Micas, which I get mine from Enchanted, from Nurture Soap. This is called Enchantment. I'm gonna put about a teaspoon in there. It's about a teaspoon per pound of soap if you really want your colors to stick and for it to be really pretty. So that's what I'm doing now, is getting this one. This one is also from Nurture Soap, and it's called Proud Peacock. Look how pretty that is. Ooh, bam. I'm gonna dump that in there, a little bit to grow on. I like for my colors to stick. I like for it to look really nice when we do pretty soap. Natural soap doesn't have to be ugly. That's the wonderful thing about making soap, is that you can make it as pretty as you want. Didn't do my one to grow on in that one, so we put that in there. All right, now the titanium dioxide powder is how I get my white. I know I didn't hold that up long. Don't ask me a lot of questions about titanium right now, because I can't even remember. After a while, you've been soaping soap. Some of us have soaped for so long that I remember everything about stuff, but it takes me a minute to bring that stuff back to recollection sometimes. So I'm going to clean this bowl out some because it looked like it had a little dust in there, and I don't want anything funny in my soup. I always keep a lot of paper towels around. I go through tons of paper towels. If I had to say what was one of the most expensive things it's probably the supplies and materials used to make the soap. And everything has gotten really expensive, really, inflation. I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. And the reason the price of my soap has gone up or will go up in 2023 is because the price of these lovely oils that I put in the soap that make it so great, which makes it great for your skin, is that those prices have gone up 25 to 50%, which is a big jump. And I'm really honestly trying to figure out how I'm going to make this work for everybody, but we're going to make it work, right? It only works if you work it. All right, so I always have me a couple of paper plates out because I just don't like mess all over the place. I've got my handy wand ready to go. Clearly it's not plugged up. That would be because of Tony. He was the last culprit in here. He was the last person to make soap. And Tony's my husband. I can't call him a soap apprentice anymore. I would love to. He actually does know what he's doing now. I know more of the science, but he actually does know what he's doing. He actually makes pretty nice soaps. Yeah, that's me with my old butt bending down here. Trying to get things plugged in. Because you want to be prepared. When you're making soap, you got to be ready for anything. You never know what's going to happen. So, this is a little cheapy one here. The other one I have is a KitchenAid. This lasted me a while. All right, so I got my colorants going. Got to get this titanium going. Titanium dioxide is a little different. It's a little bit tricky to get white. I use a combination of titanium dioxide and a little bit of white mica, just because I want to make sure that if I put white in there, it stays white. So I use a good heap of that. Otherwise, especially when the oils are so dark like this, it can really have an effect. So I've got some white mica, not from my normal vendors. I got this one off of Amazon. It's called Marbler's Colorant. So it wasn't too bad. I've had it a little while. But I'm probably going to do a re-up from Nurture Soap. Nurture Soap is my favorite. My other favorite mica company is Mad Micas. Now, if you're a girl that likes to make makeup, Mad Micas, they have the best micas. This right here is called Sexy Stranger on a Train. And Tony used it in a soap today that we're going to call the French Quarter, which is going to be like a chocolate brown soap with gold in it. Well, I'm hoping it comes out right. But see that color? You can't really see it good. But it's really, really nice. But browns and soaps, they look all nice and shiny here, but they're okay in soap. These are better for like eyeshadows, lip gloss, things like that. But you have to make sure that it's a mica that is lip safe. So, but that's a whole nother conversation, whole nother class. Yes, I've made it all. I've made lip gloss. I've made lip balms. You name it, I can make it. Now, what I'm going to do is I typically use the oil that's here, but for my titanium, I am not going to use that colored oil. I'm going to use a little bit of safflower oil, which is lighter in color, so that I can keep my white, right? So I'm going to use a little safflower oil in that to get it going, and I'm going to use a good bit, I probably poured about a fourth in there, fourth of a cup. And I'm going to whip this really as much as I can with a spoon to get the chunks out. It's kind of chunky. It looks like paste. And that's what you want it to look like. You want it to have kind of fatty. Now, some soapers will be like, whoa, you put a lot of safflower in there. So, I mean, because I have a pretty high water discount, I just kind of feel like this is kind of like almost like a super fat. Soapers will know what that means. Yeah, but I'm going to mix that up really good. And this is why I keep these plates around, because I don't want stuff all over the place. I'll put that there so you can see that good. See, that's nice and white, kind of pasty-like. Now, for these three guys, though, I'm going to actually take the actual oil that we're going to be making the soap with and pour a little bit into each one. There we go. Done. Wielding this knife, let's move that out of the way. I use that to cut my butters in the winter time. As you can see, because I'm outside, my new studio, when it's all nice and done, will have heat and temperature regulation. But it's chilly. It is December. It's about a week before Christmas. Now I get these little cutie things here from the dollar store. You're gonna need, if you want to be a soaper, you're gonna need a lot of whisk. So I am going to whisk these colorants together with the oil. There are colorants that you can get that mix with water. I've never used those. I've only used, and I think some, it just depends. I've always just used the oil. So that's that lovely ultramarine. Like I said, the ultramarines is going to be very different. You don't need a whole lot of that strong stuff. When I have colors that are close to the same, I'll use the same whipper. So this ultramarine is kind of close to this teal in color. They're in the same color hue, so that I won't have to use up so much equipment and have so much dirty stuff afterwards. That's that color. And I'm gonna need a wire hanger. I still don't have, a lot of girls to use a lot of girls use what they call a swirling tool, and I don't have one of those. Never felt the need to buy one. I've always gotten great swirls just using a wire hanger, and sometimes I don't even use that. I use this thing, which is something I got, I think, from Home Depot. This little doohickey. It bends. It's like a thing to hold your cords and stuff together. Now, it's not long enough to stick in the soap properly, so I'm gonna have to put on extra gloves because I have my fingers end up going down in the soap a little bit, but guess what? It works. So I am gonna put on some fresh gloves right now because these had a little hole in them. You will go through tons of gloves if you want to learn to make soap. I will be having classes out here at the Jordan Farmhouse next year. We're gonna have soap classes, candle making classes, and all of those. I don't like when my gloves are too big. These are too big. Tony bought those for him, not me. Too big gloves sometimes make me make a mess of things. Anyhow, back to those classes. So classes, we're gonna have classes, and those classes are gonna have like cocktails. They're gonna be really fun. Everybody's gonna have a good time. We're gonna be safe, but we're gonna have fun. Your girlfriends and you can come out. I normally take my wedding ring off when I do this, and I didn't tonight. And these gloves, one seems too small. Anyway, always put on gloves. Like I said, this stuff is caustic. It can hurt you. So if you don't know what you're doing, I suggest taking a class first. So I'm kind of pleased with how these colorants are looking. I want to mess around with the white a little bit because white is usually the one that messes up first. If you're going to have somebody mess up first, it'll be the white. So I want to kind of get some more of those lumps out of there. It's kind of lumpy. Looks like oatmeal or something. It's not supposed to look like that. What do y'all think? A little lumpy. See? You can kind of see how those little tiny lumps? This little baby will get those out. Oh, that didn't work. Hold on, let me try it again. This little baby will get those out. My little ad lib there, I know. Okay, so, all right, so white's looking pretty dang good. Looking like it's gonna be good to go. Ultramarine, I ain't even worry about you because I know by that ultramarine, it's great. It's gonna be fine. That color's in. These micas, I always worry about. Micas can trick you and get lighter. You all of a sudden you look at the soap and you go, wait, I didn't put enough. So I'm just gonna put a little dash more, just a little, to make sure that color sticks. Because the first one came out so nice, remember? And the customers are funny. They're like, this doesn't look like the last one. So, and all this stuff is in my head. So I have to remember the colorants that I use for each one. I try to write them down, but sometimes they don't work out. Especially when you've been doing it for a long time. I learned to soap down in close to Macon. No, Macon, my bad. Oh, messed that up. I learned soap down near Water Robins. A lady named Michelle of Mossy Creek Soap. Hi, Michelle. Taught me to soap a long time ago. And I wanted to learn how to make soap because I was so concerned about what was in the products. And I'd gone on a weight loss journey, lost like 80 pounds, and became a vegetarian. And I was watching everything. I was looking at, I stopped using wallflowers and all kind of things in my house. And as I got into the information, it became very overwhelming. And so I really actually went to her to learn how to make detergent soap, because detergents are the worst. I know we love our Tide and our Gain, but it's bad. They're not good. They're not good to your skin. And especially if you have anyone in the house that has eczema or bad allergies or anything like that, they're just not good. So that's how my soaping journey kind of started. So one of the things I kind of pride myself on with my company is that I did not start this to make money. It truly was serendipitous that I would end up making money, and I've told this story a million times. My husband came home one night and he said, you're going to have to do something with all that soap. And I said, well, the soap is for us. He was like, you need to sell it. I was like, no, I don't need to sell anything. It's for us. We need soap, And so he was like, well, you got 200 bars. You might want to sell a few of them because we're not going to use 200 bars. And soap can last a long time. All right, so that's kind of how I got into soaping. So I think I've got all my colors. I've got my gold mica here that I'm just going to shake in. Now, I've got my selected fragrance. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's from Candle Science, though. It's a good one. So my fragrance oil is right here. And there's a percentage of that I'm going to put in of the soap. For my recipe, it's usually about 3 ounces that I need, so not very much. And what I do is I'm very particular about the fragrance oil going in ahead of time, especially if I'm not sure how the fragrance oil behaves. So I'm going to just go ahead and get started. I'll probably be really quiet for a while because making soap, you want to make sure everything goes right. So here we go. There she blows. It's look like a snowmobile. It's Moby Dick. All right. Nobody else knows Moby Dick but you, Davina. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to stir this baby for a minute. And I'm going to take my time and let it just kind of come together. I'm combining that good lye water and turning this into soap. You'll see it start to get thicker. Right now, it's not very thick. It's still very loose, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. All right. Let me get my scale over here so I can pour out that couple of ounces of fragrance oil that I need. So I'm going to measure out. I'm a pro, so you can't do this like me. Anybody else, I tell you, why didn't you do that ahead of time? But I'm going to pour out 3. Let's do 3.5. Hold on, I didn't do that right. There we go. All right, so now that's sitting there to the side and ready to go. A couple of ounces of fragrance oil. So, because this is looking kind of good, I'm going to only hit it with the stick a little bit to get started, to kind of get it going. And as you can see, as it starts to get more and more kind of almost not white, but that consistency is where I like to go ahead and pour it into the colorants. It's looking kind of not quite there yet, but it's almost there. So right now we're going to go ahead and pour this in here and get my colorants going. I buy my buckets from Home Depot or Walmart. I use them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. They will fit well in the microwave when I need to heat up the oil, because you do have to actually heat the oil. Put that in there and pour this in here. Now you're going, wait a minute, you didn't put the smell in. Well, I'm gonna dabble that smell out across. This is gold mica powder. And so I'm gonna put that, shake some of that in there. Then stir that in a little, and I'm gonna put some of my fragrance in there. And then I'm gonna spread the love. I'm going to purposely avoid the white. Fragrances and things that are white in color sometimes act up. And it turns the white, it does funny things with white. So I figure there's enough fragrance in everything else where I don't have to kind of concern myself with that. So, and we'll be right back because I'm getting a phone call from Tony. Before I was rudely interrupted. All right, so now things are really moving. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. See? Trying to be a pro. About to mess something up. Hurry up and get that in. This is what happens when you put fragrance in soap. As soon as you get that fragrance in there, girl, see how it starts to thicken up? Thicken up. Starts to thicken up. Now, these I have not done much with. I haven't hit them with the thing yet. The white's looking pretty good. All my colorants look great. I need a... Whew, I'm being bad tonight. I ain't got nothing ready. I don't like to leave any soap in here at all. Don't waste soap. All right, so that's done. That's in there. It's time to get these colorants in. So now I'm gonna do a drop like so. I'm gonna take and pour a little bit of white. No, y'all can't quite see, can you? That's because I'm in a hurry now, because Tony rudely interrupted us. A bit of a drop swirl there. Now let's put a little bit of that. Notice I'm holding it up really high. That's because I want the colors to bounce down into the bottom. And when these start to thicken up, and trust me, the reason they started thickening up was when I got that fragrance all in there. That's why I kind of wait to put that in. Perfect. Now, I honestly think that I've drop swirled this enough, but I'm still going to take this and I'm still going to stick my fingers in, make sure that my gloves don't have a hole in them, because I'm going to have to put my, and I'm going to just push down in there and try to swoosh it up like that. Ah, that might make a mess. Don't try this at home, boys and girls, unless you know what you're doing. All right, I'm gonna wipe my hands off a little bit. Now, the top here looks kind of crazy to me. So that means I gotta do some work with it. But this white I have is not very thick. This is thick enough for me to start to try to put a layer or a design on the top, because I don't want the top to look all crazy, right? So I'm gonna put that there. That's too thick. Got just enough ultramarine here, I think, to make a nice line. So what I do here is I'm gonna make another line. It's run it right along the edge of that green. Like so. Let's see if I can make you act right. Come on here, teal. Let's go. Let's go. I think I do. And I'm gonna run that. Run another little line here. This white is not very thick. So what I'm gonna do is try to that's thickened it up a little bit, not a lot, but we just want enough so that I can get a nice white line going right there. Now I'm gonna take, I normally do this with either, I haven't done it with toothpicks in a while. Let's do toothpicks tonight. Oh, making a mess. Should have been prepared, should have been prepared. I'm gonna take a toothpick and I'm gonna do some design work here. Ew, I think I had gold on top. And here's where I'm messing up again. Messing up again. Where is my slip? It's behind the scenes work. I'm putting a little gold mica together really quickly. And oil. Just because every time I'm a freak for gold. I just love gold. And I don't know why. I'll be making stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna use gold this time. I can't help it. It's a signature thing of mine. I'm just gonna put some gold little droplets everywhere. All right, that's done. Now let's see if this baby is still loose enough to play with. That's cute. Should we keep going or should we stop? Sometimes simple, I tell people sometimes simple is enough. Sometimes you should just stop. Because if you keep playing around with it, you know, it can do funny things. But I think I'm not done yet. I'm gonna go back the other way. Do some more loop-de-loops. Ooh, that's sexy. And then after I'm done with that, this is the fun part of soap, for me anyway. Especially playing around with my little bits of gold. I get to make it all pretty. Yeah, so you found out that I'm just an adult that likes coloring. I know, it's bad. But you take your little toothpick. Woo! Yay! After I use a toothpick, I usually will take a napkin and wipe it off so that when I go to the next section where I'm making loops and dips, I don't contaminate it with something else. Or sometimes I might want to move a little white over. Right? Dip some white. Put it over there. I'll take a close-up picture of this afterwards so you can see.